What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. You already know it is the 904 Strength Club, home of the strongest content coming out of Northeast Florida. Today's going to be an interesting one because I'm talking about people that I really don't particularly care about. But the thing is that I'm talking about them because I see a lot of very smooth brain, slow boy takes. And I want to set the record straight on a couple of things. So let's get into it. And this has to do with Hafthor's 501 kilogram attempt that apparently he recently made. Now, once again, I'm not a Hafthor fanboy. I'm not an Eddie Hall fanboy. If I'm going to fanboy over anybody, it's going to be Big Z. Goated for life. All right? I'm sorry. Big Z was the most dominant strongman ever, and he is goated. He is it. So, don't sit there and say, you're just glazing Thor. No, I'm not. I don't really care about Hafthor. As a person I do, sure, but as a professional strongman, not really. I don't keep up with the sport at a professional level. But people are saying because Hafthor could not replicate his 501 kilogram deadlift, that just proves that he didn't do it the first time. Let me tell you what that argument tells me about you. It tells me that you've licked enough windows to be able to tell me what brand of glass it is by the taste. It tells me you've never lifted anything that's been worth talking about. That's what it tells me, because I am going to tell you, when you are pushing the limits of what your body can actually do, it's not there for you every day. No matter how you peak, no matter how everything else goes, there's some days when it's just not there. You can hit it in training and then come back in 2 weeks after taking the time off that you need, and sometimes it's not there. There are wild cards. There are all sorts of things that happen for it not to be there. And that's part of why a lot of us will tell people very early on, hey, go compete before you think you're ready, because competing is a skill, and learning how to manage all these other things is a skill, like learning how to manage your sleep in a hotel room, learning how to manage your nutrition while you're traveling, learning how to manage a million other things is part of the game. All right? And minimizing how far off those things throw you in any one instance is part of the game. So, the second thing to talk about, he did that lift 5 years ago. 5 years can be an eternity, especially as you're getting into your late 30s and early 40s. I don't know how old Hafthor is. I don't fanboy the guy. All right? I don't know how old he is. But I can tell by looking at him that he's old enough to where the years are starting to not be kind anymore. And they're starting to get to the point to where they're going to start taking more than they give. Happens to all of us. Happened to Mike Tyson. He got beat by Jake Paul. That hurts to say. That left a really unpleasant taste in my mouth. Yeah, that's a sad fact of life, but it's true. How do you know it's true? Because we have a master's division for a reason, idiot. Look at the weights in the open for the heavyweights, and then look at the weights for the heavyweight masters, and they are lighter for a reason. All right? Everybody will reach a point to where they set a lifetime PR, and then they will never be able to top that due to one thing or another. Whether it's time, whether it's injury, whether it's life circumstances, there's a million different reasons why, but you will never be able to top it. Perfect example that's very personal to me, my bench press will probably never go up to where it was. A couple years back, I hit a 405 raw bench. Very happy when I hit it. I chased it for years, and because when I was 35, I screwed up my shoulder playing rugby for a couple of games, which was crazy. I miss it though. I loved rugby. I'd go back to playing it now. It's stupid. screwed up my shoulder. It hasn't been right since, and it has gotten progressively worse, especially on horizontal pressing. And I have flare-ups, and I have times when it's just weak and I can't do anything about it. And it drives me nuts because I know what I used to be able to do, and I know that I should be able to do that, and I can't. Now, shirted benching, yeah, I could probably, if I wanted to do a shirted competition, I can probably set some PRs in that still. But the raw bench, my shoulder won't hold together. It's a fact of life. Father Time remains undefeated. That's just the truth of the matter. Now, one last thing before I go. I held up 2 fingers showing 1, but it was the index finger, so I wasn't doing like the Stone Cold salute, even though I'm wearing a Stone Cold hat, Stone Cold Killer, Stone Cold Fox. All right. A lot of people will still say one of 2 things about Hafthor's lift. Number 1, it wasn't really 501 kilograms. His dad weighed the plates. That was the whole thing, one of the big things that Eddie hyped up in the lead up to their boxing match, which barely qualifies as a boxing match. Now, it may be very true that his dad weighed the plates, but who was on hand to actually judge the lift? Was his dad? No, the ref on hand was Magnus Ver Magnuson. Now, if you remember, Magnus Ver Magnuson in the whole, 2017 World's Strongest Man, when Thor's Viking press got disallowed, I think he only got penalized 1 rep. All right. Magnus Ver Magnuson walked over to Hafthor when he was sitting there disgracing himself by trying to intimidate a ref, which, let's not even get into how stupid that is. I think he should have been bounced out of the competition on his head for doing that. But Magnus Ver Magnuson walked over there and told him, I would have disallowed more reps. You should be happy you're only getting that disallowed. So, I'm sorry, I don't buy the narrative that Magnus Ver Magnuson was in the bag. I think with what Strongman has meant to that individual and his continued engagement in it, even after he's retired, because once again, he got to an age where he couldn't compete at the level that he wanted to. He couldn't keep up at the level he wanted to, or it wasn't worth it to him to put his body through that anymore. Once again, Father Time undefeated. I'm not going to impugn his integrity. I'm just not. But let's talk about the other thing. Well, it wasn't in a competition. Okay. When Eddie did it, that could barely be called a competition. It was staged exactly for Eddie to be able to do it. That's 1. 2, let's remember the circumstances that led up to it, and that World's Ultimate Strongman had to postpone an event because what was it again that happened in 2020 that had the world shut down and nobody could travel? Yeah, that thing. Rather than having people who had taken months out of their life to dedicate and prep for a show, made financial commitments, whatever, had planned for it, World's Ultimate Strongman came up with some great idea. Don't know who did. And they said, hey, look, instead of having it all be for naught, we're going to turn around and we're going to do feats of strength that we're going to stream live, and we'll have judges that will be available either in person or remote so that nobody's got to travel and nobody has to get exposed to the thing. Notice I said feats of strength, because the only one that anybody ever talks about is Hafthor's 501 kilogram deadlift. That's the one. That's the one people talk about. But if memory serves right, there were 6 or 7 records set during that time. Tom Stoltman set a new Atlas Stone record, Stone over Bar record, whatever you want to call it. That was cool. Nobody said anything about that. And Big Z, if I remember right, judged that one, and he wasn't even on location. All right. Alexei Novikov set a record. Rob Kearney, I think that's where he took the American Log Press record. Rhiannon Lovelace set a record. Multiple people set records. The only one anybody got salty over was Hafthor, because everybody's going to swing and glaze Eddie. Stop. Listen. You got all this energy to get online and talk about strongman. I've got a solution for you. Go into the forums and into the groups where people that are coming up in strongman and starting out in strongman are posting their lifts and posting about what they're doing, and put that energy into those people. Put that energy into actually going in and telling them how great of a job they're doing, encouraging them. If you can actually give tips, give tips. If you can do nothing but put a thumbs up or a heart emoji, do that, because those people are going to actually see it, and it's going to mean something to those people. You know who a thumbs up or a heart will never mean anything to? Eddie Hall, Hafthor. All right? They're celebrities. They're not real people to us. They're people that we have a parasocial relationship with somehow that's sickening. Put that energy back into the people that are local, that are just starting, and actually build the community instead of getting online and talking about the most stupid things with the most stupid, smooth brain, slow boy takes. All right. Anyway, that's my rant. That's the thing. And look, if that's not you and you're not doing that and you agree with me, throw a thumbs up. Put it in the comments. If you think that I'm just glazing Thor, put it in the comments. I don't care. Throw it in the comments. Tell me, I can't believe you're sitting there glazing Hafthor so much. Or I didn't know you were such a Hafthor fanboy. I'm not. Once again, Big Z, goated for life, forever. All right, that's it for this one. We'll see you guys on the next one.